And good morning from the campus of the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama. This is Sports Talk. I'm Dr. Arthur Ogden, your moderator, and this morning's panel consists of Dr. Fred Cromartie, to my far right, the Director of Doctoral Studies, and Mr. Jack Kerwin, our Director of Communications. Each week we discuss a current topic in sports and invite you to continue to send in some suggestions. We send them in at sportstalk@ussa.edu. Today, by the way, is an interesting date. It is the only date on the calendar that is a command. March 4th. At any rate, we'll keep you entertained in other fashions. The NBA season is almost ready to go into the playoffs. And there are a number of questions that come to mind having to do with the length of the season. Some of the players, some of the major players, like LeBron James and Dirk Nowitzki, think that the season is way too long. It does start in October, and if you make it all the way through to the finals, it ends in June. That's a long, long season. So we're going to take a look at that today and discuss some of the options and what has happened to it in recent years and in even recent discussions. But first, a few facts. An NBA team plays 82 regular season games. Starts in October, and if you make it, as I said, all the way to the end, ends in June. The team that wins the NBA championship can play as many as 28 additional games. That's 110 games total. But that's if each series goes the maximum 7 games. The average, however, is between 20 and 24 games after the 82-game season. Although there's been no definitive study made to establish a set number, it is reliably estimated by many, many different people that during a regular NBA game, players will run between 5 and 8 miles. So let's take the median. Let's say it's 6 miles. 6 miles times 82 games, that's a lot of miles. The NBA schedule does not seem to take into account much rest between games at times. And as we mentioned before, top players like Dirk Nowitzki and LeBron James believe the season has gone way too long. So, gentlemen, what kind of a toll? I'll ask Dr. Cromartie, who has a degree in sports medicine. What kind of toll does such a season take on an athlete?
It's a lot of wear and tear, but the other part of it is that we have to take into account the wear and tear that already exists on these athletes' bodies. Okay, many of these guys that come into the league, they played in, AAU ball, high school ball, college ball, summer league ball, trying to make teams. So there's a lot of wear and tear on the bodies already. The other part of it is that this is not just a recent argument by LeBron and Dirk. This goes all the way back to Dominique Wilkins, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. They were even saying, wait a minute, we don't mind playing the games in that, but the fact of the matter is out of that 82 game schedule, you got a lot of games that are meaningless.
Right.
And that's what, the argument has been from the athlete's perspective. The owner's perspective, this is an opportunity for them to continue to make money. So let's say what it is. It's all about the money.
Right. Speaking of the owners, Jack, don't you think that owners should understand that their players are their agents in this commodity, which is a game, and they need to protect their agents from this type of almost abuse, or at least extra wear?
You would think, or you would hope so, but I would say that I'd love to argue the case against what you suggested, but no, I think the owners are short-sighted, and they're seeing the profit margin immediate, what they're looking at right there. I mean, they have LeBron now. Use him now. Use him up. It's a shame. These guys are not getting a chance to recover. Right. The wear and tear is, especially stuff that we're labeling, the 82 regular season games and then the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But what you brought up, Fred, absolutely, just the all through their career, the Olympics. Right. the thing that kills me is that they're also doing, even when they're on an NBA team, they have training camp.
Right.
They have
Yes.
all these games. They have guys coming out of college, who free agent signees who might make a
Right.
team.
Mhm.
And nowadays they might even start on the team the way some of the situations go. Say if you want to play in Philadelphia,
Oh.
which anybody, we might be able to get contracts there.
Yeah.
So,
I think
This
one of
year-
the things that the owners are cognizant of, and they know that they have the upper arm, is this is not a collective bargaining issue.
true.
Now that it's getting out, there's a little bit more of an emphasis that's placed on it. When Jordan brought it up back in the day, he just kind of brushed it off, saying, look, you know what? The guys before us played,
Right.
60 and it kept going. I know.
They were playing 82 games then.
They were.
Jordan was playing 74.
It's 74 games, but you had the possibility with playoffs and winning the NBA title and that. You had
There were a
quite
lot
a few
of
games
games
underneath
still.
your belt.
But
But the simple fact of the matter, they didn't press the issue.
Right, but the qualifying games for the divisions were the best of 5.
Oh, yes.
Then they went to best of 7. Now
Yeah.
everything's best of 7.
Once again, we
They've
get back to
expanded.
more money to
Yeah.
be made.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is now that there's more money on the table, with the Players Association, they might be able to look to their constituency and say, hey, look, here's another way that we can bring an issue to the collective bargaining
Right.
table, because it's all about the money.
And the new executive director, what's her name?
Michelle Robinson. Yeah, Robinson.
Michelle Robinson is an excellent lawyer, and she's going to set things on fire. Although I really would have to say, I have to admit, I think Adam Silver's doing a pretty good job overall. He was thrown into a couple of tough situations, and he handled them well. We'll see as the year goes on how he handles the rest of the owners.
Well,
But,
it's the same thing with all of the league ownerships and league commissioners and that stuff. The fact of the matter is that the commissioners are there in favor of the ownership, and the unions are there
Well, that's
in
who hires
favor
them.
of the athletes. That's the bottom line.
Right.
So again, it goes back to, and anytime we want something to be amenable and work for both parties as much as possible, there is cooperation.
Yeah, where's Judge Kennesaw when we need him?
This might be out of left field a little bit, but going beyond the athletes and the organizations themselves, speaking as at least harkening back to when I was a kid growing up as a fan, I actually found the seasons too long to watch.
Right.
Not just basketball, but baseball too, hockey. I mean, baseball was the only one that seemed to make sense because of the physical toll. It's not the same as it is on football, basketball, hockey.
Well, baseball is another issue. I mean,
Right.
you watch midsummer to late summer, unless the team is really, really going to qualify for the playoffs. Some of the shots they show on television, embarrassingly empty stands,
Right.
but they still have those TV contracts.
But we
I
also
wanted to get
harken
on
back.
to-
Hold on one second. We also harken back to the way that we grew up and the fact that we played sports that were seasonal. We expect the professional teams to be in that same format.
Right.
So that's our perception of it.
Right, I understand.
Right, but even as a kid though, not playing professionally, obviously, I would watch these events and be like, "Holy smokes, is the season going to be over yet?"
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
let's
we're
go.
ready for the.
Let's go into the next season already.
Exactly.
Basketball's
exactly.
cutting into baseball. And
Well,
stuff like
Greg Popovich has done a couple of things with his players to kind of take the pressure off.
that. Smart
He
man.
sits down his top players, and some of the fans got upset, but too bad. He was getting them ready to play in the playoffs. For all intents and purposes, in your estimation, gentlemen, what does this mean in terms of game integrity and length of the season? Is this one coach's way of kind of sticking it in the eye of the owners?
He's in a different situation because he's dealing with a winning product.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the playoffs in large part because of how he's run that team for years. They're good. They play a certain style of basketball that's a little different than most teams. They're a little more team-oriented. They rely on more players, spreading the wealth. They go deeper.
Mhm.
And he utilizes that. And he also, as you mentioned, sits down guys, gives them
Yeah,
rest.
and
But there are other
last
organizations.
year when the Heat did that and sat down LeBron, who they didn't suit up the top three. LeBron,
Wade didn't suit up. Bosh didn't
Chris
suit up.
Bosh, and they got booed when they came on. It
Sure.
was so it was kind
Well,
of
that's kind of a
perception.
different situation.
Well,
with
it's
them.
But then
because
you
those
mentioned
are
a
the
good thing
most
they
notable players for that particular team. Let's not discount the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies did it last year too. But most of us as fans, unless we live in that Memphis area, we don't really know who those superstars are.
Right.
And that's part of the problem too. If it's a real superstar, and Popovich handled it great last year. He said, look, here's the deal. We've got some young players. They need some experience, and here's a perfect time to do it.
Right.
The Heat themselves, when it happened, their coach at the time didn't have it eloquently as phrase,
And
you know, and he said
notice
it's
they
a
all
coaching
do it.
decision.
And you
Well,
notice they
great.
do it when they're on the road.
Oh,
You
yes.
notice
And
they
that's what I was going
home
to say.
fans.
That actually seems to cause a bit of a hullabaloo with those. Okay, I've joked around about the Sixers before.
Right.
Well, a lot of their draw during the season is when a big time team
Yes.
Right.
with big time players comes in. Like if Miami last year came in and didn't have LeBron playing,
Right.
that would have caused an issue
Yeah.
with that specific town. The fans
Right.
who were going, because many people would purchase tickets just for that game to see
Right.
LeBron.
And
Yeah,
let's face it,
Bosh or
Philly
whatever.
is a basketball town.
Right.
Well, gentlemen, what are some of the solutions to this problem? The length of season.
Well, like I said, because this is sort of a historical thing, it's been brought up time and time again. The only way that you're going to really be able to see some type of action transpire is for both the league and the unions to get together to say, hey, look, let's really take a look at this and make it a collective bargaining issue. I don't necessarily think that they have to remove any games. I just think that lengthen it a little bit, give them a little bit more of a rest. You can't expect a team to play in New York on a Wednesday and turn around and play in Utah on Thursday. That just doesn't make
Right.
sense. Nobody gets a chance to heal.
Well,
The coaches aren't even in their right minds because they don't get enough sleep.
Right. But the funny thing is it's almost like they need to work on the scheduling itself
Right.
within that time frame, because the amount of months we're talking about, this is not a short period of time.
I know.
October through June,
It's 8 months.
they seem to have these stretches where they'll play 3 games in 4 nights or 4
Yeah.
games in
Yeah.
5 nights,
Yeah.
and then they'll go 1 game in 10
Because they
days.
have to beat the TV schedule. The TV schedule gives them a lot more flexibility nowadays. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to automatically be on ESPN. It doesn't automatically have to be ABC. It doesn't automatically have to be TNT. You've got so many different networks out there that are showing these games. Work with them. You've got the money for the TV
Right.
contract
They're able to
already.
do it.
Right. That's a possible solution. But in a more practical context, I believe you're right. TV is going to have to get involved because a lot of times they're going to dictate, well, we need this game played here. We need this there. But if we take if they don't want to reduce the number of games, which I think is insane,
To
then
reduce or not reduce?
reduce it.
You think that's insane or not?
No.
You think they should reduce?
Yes, I said
Sorry.
that they should reduce the games, which they're not going to do, which is insane. I think they ought to reduce it by 12 games. If they're going to keep the same 8-month schedule, they reduce. Plus, the 82 games does not include the exhibitions that they play.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So they're really going to be tearing themselves up. And so it's either reduce the number of games, or as you guys suggest, stretch it out. Start them in mid-September. Have a little bit longer time. Maybe end up in mid or end June if they have to do that, end of June. But we've got to do something, I think, for the players. Now, some people have said, well, shorten the length of the game
Yeah, I don't think
to
that works.
44 minutes.
I think that's
And
kinda silly.
LeBron said, that won't make any difference. Let's just have fewer games.
I saw what he said, and I
Yeah.
agree. Once you're playing the game, your body's already doing
Right.
wear and tear each
Right.
time, whether you're
Mhm.
playing 36 minutes or playing 40 minutes. You've already run 5.7 out of the 6 miles. So, I mean,
Yeah,
Again,
and I almost wonder if that number is low.
it could be.
well, it goes again back to the revenue generation and streams and all this good stuff. The simple fact of the matter is that
We're
I do
dealing with
believe.
ideals here.
Yeah, well, I do. No, I know. And part of the ideal can be taking a look at the revenue streams and say, look, exhibitions don't mean anything. That's an opportunity for
To get
sometimes for a family who can't afford to go during the regular season to go because tickets are even more reduced at that particular time. So yeah, that can be a fun thing in that, but normally in your exhibition, you don't see the superstars play all that long anyway.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, I think there's enough information out there for them all to sit down and figure this out to make it workable, where they're not losing any money, the players are playing, they give them an opportunity to continue to rejuvenate and heal over the course of a day or two, you know, because they do everything that they possibly can to be in game shape when they do have back-to-back games.
Yeah, what do you really, realistically, what do you think the chances are that this is going to be a negotiation item next time they sit down for a CBA?
I think that can be brought up,
I think it's going
whether
to
it
be,
gets passed.
I think it's going to be a huge issue. And the reason I say that is the ultimate superstar brought it up.
LeBron.
And he's paying attention.
Yeah, that's
Good.
true.
Yeah, that's what it's all
Good
about.
for him and good for the rest of the players.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for another show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Jack. This has been Sports Talk on the campus of the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama. Please keep sending in your emails and suggestions at sportstalk@ussa.edu. It's Dr. Arthur Ogden wishing you a great day in sport, and keep playing.